Hey, welcome back to Rider Rays. This week is called What Do We Believe? And this is a week of asking some questions that a survey by Legionnaire Ministries, they did it. And so we're going to be talking about some of these, the three main ones that they highlighted. There's probably other ones that we could do, but I'm just going to go with the ones that they highlighted because they're important. And I think we should talk about them. So today is, does God change? So the statement that they put in the survey was, God learns and adapts to different circumstances. So pretty simple statement, and then the people could rate, do they strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, if they're not sure, or they somewhat agree, or they strongly agree. And so I'm going to pose this as a true and false, because there really is only one right answer. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree. Is this true or false? And so this is patently false. Is the plan of salvation a reaction to Adam and Eve and messing everything up? Was the flood God's plan B after mankind became so evil? Does God know what will happen? Or does he merely respond to what we do? That's kind of the questions that all involve the doctrine of immutability. Simply put, immutability is the Christian doctrine that says God hasn't and cannot change. This doctrine is also linked to God's omniscience, the fact that he has always known all things, and his transcendence, that God exists outside of creation, including time, including change. But does the Bible teach that God doesn't change? And that he knows everything? Is that true? And we have to say yes, very explicitly does it teach this. The two classic texts are Malachi 3:6 and James 1:17. In Malachi 3:6, God says, "For I, the Lord, do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, are not consumed." He specifically says about himself that he does not change. In James 1:17, we read, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change." Pretty straightforward. So there's nothing in God that is caused by change. That makes sense since God is transcendent. Change requires the passage of time, the passage of events. For God, that doesn't happen. So we humans measure the passage of time by change. Things change. I was just reading an article this morning about how time is not an absolute, but it's kind of flowing depending on where you're at. Of course, this is all theoretical, but the argument of the paper was that depending on where you're at in the universe, time could be different. Time changes differently, which is fine. That's cool. God could have done that, where time is different. If there's a black hole and time is different there, or time is, the idea that time could be irrelevant to something in some place, that makes sense because that's true for God. So, yeah, okay, I can go along with that. But still, there's this idea of change, that you have this change, and that's the only reason for us. That's the only way things make sense. Like in order to write that article, things had to change. But for God, there is no change. So we humans measure the passage of time by change. God exists outside of his creation, outside of this universe. Therefore, the things that govern this universe, even time, don't affect him. The Bible and we often speak of God anthropomorphically, which means we attribute human characteristics to describe God because that's the way we can understand him. If we don't do that, we won't really have the words, the language, the concepts to explain who God is. So we use ideas like God relenting or regretting to describe a change in God's plan that we humans were not aware of. Of course, God was aware, and therefore does not change. There's just an unfolding of the eternal decree in space and time. We could also look at the text like Psalm 33:11, which says, "The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations." Or Isaiah 46:10, which says, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will accomplish all my purpose. 1 Samuel 15:29 says, and also the glory of Israel will not lie or have regret, for he is not a man, that he should have regret. Hebrews 6:17 speaks of his unchangeable character of his purposes. So when God desired to show more convincingly to the heirs of the promise and the unchangeable character of his purpose, he guaranteed it with an oath. We have to strongly disagree with the statement, God learns and adapts to different circumstances. We have to disagree with this. It's not true. It is a false statement. God does not learn. He does not adapt. A majority of people said, yes, God changes. A lot of people in the church are saying that God changes. That is directly contradictory to what the scripture says. So if you're going to be a biblical Christian, you have to say, no, God does not learn. God knows all things. He's omniscient. God doesn't adapt. He doesn't change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. There is no difference with him. So that's the thing. Like, most people said yes on this. Majority of people said yes. So the majority of people are wrong in the church then, which is pretty sad. But hopefully the people that we come in contact with, we can instruct them and say, hey, God doesn't learn. God doesn't adapt. That's not how he operates. So don't believe that. Next one is, are we born innocent? The statement that was in the survey was, everyone is born innocent in the eyes of God. So come back next time and we'll take a look at that. See what do we think.